It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Thursday. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing really good, but I got to tell you this is just amazing. I have figured out, we look towards Election Day and we say to ourselves, okay, what is the strategy of both parties?
Right.
And I figured out yesterday what the strategy is of the Democrats and the Biden campaign.
Oh, good.
It's to follow the template of Kamala Harris. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is from Politico. This is an interview that they did with top Biden advisor Tom Perez.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Now, I shouldn't have even given it away. I should have just said, who does this sound like? Are you ready? Here we go.
Are you focused on getting out the door in these next 6 months before the election?
Well, we're focused on continuing the work that's been going on since the beginning of the Biden administration. I have said time and time again, it's important to understand the moment that you're in so that you can meet that moment and not have that moment pass you by. And we have seen, and by way of historical background, you look at the 1930s and the 1960s. The reason I look at those, Scott, is I had the privilege of being your labor secretary, and most of the laws, slight overstatement, that we enforced were a product of the New Deal.
Is plagiarism just allowed now, or?
Well, plagiarism between Democrats is allowed.
I guess so. I guess they call it just talking points, I guess.
It was a simple question. You've got the next 6 months before the election. What are you going to do?
It's important that the moment be important so that the importance of the moment is never forgotten in the moment.
I couldn't believe it.
That's important.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously? We got the template. It's Kamala Harris said this is what's going to take us to victory.
Yeah. That wasn't Hunter's cocaine in the White House. Okay? Once again, that wasn't his. It could have been anybody's.
See, we're defending Hunter here on the show.
That's right. Leave that young man alone.
We're defending Hunter on the show because his defense lawyers certainly can't.
Somebody needs to defend him properly.
Yeah. The thing is, this is sort of the Hunter thing is 180 degrees from the Trump thing with the legal analysis.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh my God, there's so much slam dunk evidence that they have.
Right.
And the attorneys are so bad for Hunter Biden that some of the conclusions is the only thing that they must be looking for is jury nullification in some form or manner.
Right.
Because they certainly are not working towards
right.
any type of substance to contradict what the prosecution has.
Exactly.
Oh,
well,
imagine.
I mean, when one time they answered the judge, his defense team answered the judge by saying, "Hold on, Your Honor, we're on the phone. Could you just hold on?"
Oh God.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's insane.
We do know now. We have to make sure we cannot live in the bubble of today.
We have to live in the bubble of the moment. The importance of the moment is important in the moment.
Imagine you and I doing a show like on April 1st, April Fool's Day, of just trying to talk like Kamala and now Tom Perez.
Kamala-isms. Yeah.
Kamala-isms.
Yeah. No, that's going to be my new work-related nightmare. That I've got 5 hours and I just keep repeating those things.
It's important to live in the moment and recognize the moment that you're living in, because that way you recognize the importance of the moment that you're living in.
Yes.
This is how Eric and I plan on talking the rest of the show. Click, 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 click. People turning. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're turning people off from your show.
Yeah, it's Again.
But how do you get to that point? How do you speak like that? The only thing I can think of...
Because you're highly unqualified to be in that position in the first place?
And you also believe that the people that are listening to you are complete idiots and will accept it.
Yeah.
Or a combination of both. It has to be.
Well, I mean, it's, it sounds like one of those cheesy memes that everybody likes on their friend's Facebook page, but nobody knows what it actually means. And they keep repeating the same kind of cheesy memes. Here's your inspiration for the day. Now, my inspiration is coffee. I don't need a cheesy meme.
Yeah, we'll let everybody know. I mean, because we've been accusing everybody of being on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Caffeine for us, just so people.
Yes.
A little bit of caffeine. That's
right.
Not a lot, but it's justifiable.
Yeah. Certain days more than others, but
we're on at midnight.
That's right. Yeah.
But the one thing we did find out, just speaking very quickly of the Hunter Biden trial, is that the FBI has viewed the laptop, the Biden administration. It is real.
Yeah.
We knew it was real. We knew it was real in October of 2020. We believe the New York Post.
Man, where are those dozens of intel officials that signed off on that letter?
Well, let's go right to, what's his name from New York? I can't think of his name. The pit bull, not Schiff, the other one. Goldman.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Goldman here. And let's go back to when he was talking to Michael Schellenberger. All right, you ready? Here we go.
You have no idea. You know hard drives can be
manipulated. Are you suggesting the New York Post participated in a conspiracy to construct the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop?
No, sir. The problem is that hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani or Russia.
But what's the evidence that happened?
Well, there is actual evidence of it, but the point is it's not the same thing.
There's no evidence for it, so you're engaging in a conspiracy.
I'm glad you...
See what he said? There is evidence of it.
Mm-hmm.
Goldman, just like Schiff, is a liar.
Yeah.
Just like Schiff said that there was evidence, intelligence that Trump colluded with the Russians. That was a complete lie.
Right.
Goldman, and that's the thing, is what happens in a political party does he do this, like Goldman, does he do this by himself? Or does the party sit there and say, okay, you've got to be the complete liar. You have to be the one that comes up with all the conspiracy theories. You scream and you yell, and you're going to be the sacrificial lamb, or it really doesn't matter because your district is so liberal that you can just say the most outrageous, untrue things over and over again, get burned consistently.
Yeah.
He gets burned.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if
he's helped the Republicans more than the Democrats.
Yes, he has. At times he has.
Yeah, no, I think it's all the above. I think it's, all right, Adam Schiff is on his way to the Senate if he gets his way. So we need to replace him with another capable liar that does nothing but lie.
Because in the Democratic Party, if you get burned over and over again, people would say, well, wait a minute. If you're there and you get burned over and over again, if everything that you say comes back to haunt you when the truth comes out, how do you rise in the Democrat Party? Mm-hmm. How do you, for example, Adam Schiff, pathological liar for 3 years on Russia collusion. We know it was Hillary Clinton. He lied about which is why he was kicked off the House Intelligence Committee. Mm-hmm. It's because he lied about the intelligence. And they said, we can't trust you. You're going to the American public, and when something is, and you're telling them something that isn't true about what our intelligence agencies have, and you did it on Trump, and you did it not just once by accident. It was premeditated day in and day out. So you're getting kicked off because we can't trust you with America's secrets.
Yeah.
And the Democrats go, all right, he's a leading candidate for Senate in California.
Right.
Because the Democrats in California are complete, total idiots.
Or liars themselves, or they don't care that he lies.
Or they don't care because they're not looking for someone to tell the truth. They're looking for a political activist who will push a narrative and doesn't care whether they get caught, are not shamed when they are caught in lie after lie after lie after lie, because they understand that their job is not to defend the Constitution of the United States as a member of Congress, but to be a pathological liar and go after the opposition party over and over again with lie after lie after lie after lie after lie after, and huge whopper lies. Remember, when he was, let's play this again here, because understand, this is Michael Schellenberger he's dealing with. Michael Schellenberger is not a conservative Republican.
Right.
He's a Democrat. And remember, they went Schellenberger, Taibbi, Barry Weiss, all part of the Twitter files. They just sat there and went as journalists and say, what do we have here? Look at all the censoring, look at all the lies, whatever. Schellenberger is a liberal.
Yep.
He's been a Democrat his entire life. Just listen again, because understand somebody like Goldman from New York and what a liar, pathological liar he is, promotion of conspiracy theories. And again, the important thing is, which compares him to Schiff, is that he says the evidence exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's listen one more time. Let's go over it.
You have no idea. You know hard drives can be manipulated.
Are you suggesting the New York Post could participate in a conspiracy to construct the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop?
No, sir. The problem is that hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani or Russia.
But what's the evidence that happened?
Well, there is actual evidence of it.
Sure, there is actual evidence of it. You know what happens? Schellenberger got him, and so he had to lie.
Yeah.
Schellenberger said, what's the evidence? Oh, there's plenty of evidence. The evidence is there. It was never there, ever. And then brings in Giuliani, brings in Russia. No, sorry, none. Hunter Biden trial yesterday, no manipulation, no hacking of the computer.
Nope.
Everything on that computer came from Hunter. And that's the incredible thing, too, because now, and we'll get to it, the Republicans yesterday put out basically, I want to call them arrest warrants. They're not arrest warrants. The criminal referrals for Hunter and James Biden for making false statements for lying to Congress.
Right.
And it was, and the funny thing is, it's, they were, now the whole thing is, even the reporters asking the Judiciary Committee and the Ways and Means Committee and saying, well, this is all part of the revenge for Trump. Well, this has been going on for a while, but now that's the new one, the revenge that Trump is going to do. And the funny thing is, everything that they accuse Trump of, what Trump is going to do as revenge is exactly what the Democrats have done to Trump.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling right now. It's just like, But with Hunter Biden, everything. That's the thing. Well, you guys are coming up with conspiracy theories and you're making stuff up about Hunter and Jim and Joe and everything else. And it's like, no, the evidence comes from Hunter. It's not Republicans. And she goes, are you going to have any facts to back this up? We'll have this. Well, I have it right here. Here we go. You ready for this? This is yesterday, and this is the Republicans out there, and this is Representative Scott Perry. But listen to the question. And this is on referring Hunter and James Biden for criminal prosecution for lying to Congress. Here we go.
Yes, ma'am. Can I just ask, what actual evidence do you have as opposed to allegations to show to the American public that would merit an actual impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden and prove that today isn't just about some of you...
Oh, I don't know.
...bullied Speaker McCarthy for the sake of enacting political revenge.
This isn't about political revenge. We have the bank accounts. We can see, ma'am, you can see that the homes that the Bidens own can't be afforded on a congressional or Senate salary. You also understand that it's not normal for family members to receive millions of dollars from overseas interests. Those things aren't normal. That's not normal to have 20 shell companies. These things are not normal, and it alludes to not only just widespread corruption, but money laundering, if not influence peddling itself. And we also have the president, the vice president at the time, on record saying that the prosecutor was fired, right? Because the prosecutor was going after the company that his son was working on.
Well, and the thing is, but when you look at it, everything came from Hunter's laptop. Everything came from Hunter.
Yeah.
This isn't allegations, and that's what the reporter's trying to make. This is allegations. Well, number one, that this is something new.
Right.
The reporter is completely ignorant for how long this is, since 2020 when the laptop came out. This is 4 years old. Mm-hmm. It isn't got nothing to do with the Trump trial and revenge. But you see how she tried to tie it all together?
Right.
What you saw there is political activism from whoever that reporter was. I don't know who the reporter was there, but that's where you get political activism where, okay, let's just come up with a narrative and accuse Republicans of it. But in this case, with there's no made up. They didn't have to do what Bragg did and, try to, I don't know, rig together some type of crime that doesn't exist out there. Mm-hmm. Everything with Hunter Biden. Everything that's going on now, the referrals for Hunter and James Biden for criminal prosecution, all are based on Hunter's laptop, and then from Hunter's laptop, the investigation of what came out from the Treasury Department, and all of the info that they actually had that came from the banks. None of this was produced. Or none of this is just allegations. The allegations of wrongdoing came after the evidence was discovered.
Yeah, it's again at the hands of Hunter Biden.
Yeah,
Hunter Biden is the one that made all this happen. He's the one.
And so I just find the narrative interesting now. It's like that's the only thing they have to go with. Trump's going to have revenge, and he's going to do. But when they list the things that Trump is going to do, that they're accusing him of what he's going to do, it's everything they've done to Trump. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
There's actually a great deal of humor in it when you read it because the responses on social media are hilarious. It's like you're reading the Babylon Bee.
Right. Yeah.
We got a show ahead.
We do.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Every driver knows the cost of replacing tires is a major expense. What if you could save on tire costs without sacrificing performance or safety? Consider retreads, a sustainable, cost-effective way to rack up your miles. You may already know that retread tires offer a cost savings, but what else do you know about them? You may be surprised to learn that more than 80% of all aircraft tires in the U.S. today are retreads. From fighter jets to school buses, retreads move some of the most important cargo across many industries. They can also help you move your load, too.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. This story didn't get a lot of publicity yesterday. Every time a state jumped on the California electric vehicle mandate, it was big news, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When states start saying, no, we don't think we're going to go in that direction,
right,
that originally did, it's not as much news, is it? Governor Youngkin of Virginia said yesterday that Virginia will halt its participation in the California electric vehicle mandate program at the end of the year, describing it as harmful to businesses in the state and allowing outside officials to dictate policy. The idea that government should tell people what kind of car they can or cannot purchase is fundamentally wrong, Youngkin said. Virginians deserve the freedom to choose which vehicles best fit the needs of their families and businesses. You can't have that. This is the United States of America. You can't give people choice.
Yeah. How dare you?
How dare you do that? Youngkin cited a decision from Virginia Attorney General, Virginia Attorney General that said the state is not required to comply with the rules beyond 2024 when the current iteration of the program expires and a new stricter version comes into force. Once again, Virginia is declaring independence, this time from misguided electric vehicle mandate imposed by unelected leaders nearly 3,000 miles away from the Commonwealth, Youngkin said yesterday.
The mandates are impossible to meet. There's no way you can meet these mandates. And thankfully, people like Youngkin see this and see how dangerous and damaging it would be if they tried to.
Setting the standard for America. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. There's just so many topics, and I know it's like we're skipping from topic to topic to topic to topic, but there's just so much good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll cover everything more in specific detail because we love getting into the minutia of things.
Yeah.
Right. just to make the best argument to do it. But this is just the gaslighting now going on from the Biden campaign and the media about, and this is after the Wall Street Journal story about, behind closed doors. It's like, what the hell do you mean behind closed doors? It's right in front of us.
See it.
About Biden's cognitive problems behind closed doors. Well, let's go to, this is top Biden campaign spokesperson Adrienne Elrod yesterday. Here we go.
I can tell you that he is sharper than ever. And again, I want to go back and really underscore the fact that his record is very strong.
That goes on to say, oh, no, I got to continue this. Okay, I wasn't going to because I just wanted to get to that part, but we got to have this part. Listen to this. Here we go.
Achieve more as president than at least the past 4 to 5 presidents before him.
So Biden is better. Democrats, let me ask you this question. Is Biden better than Obama?
That's what she just said. That's what she just said.
Is Biden better than Clinton? Forget about the Republicans. We're going to try to make this easy for you.
Right.
Is Biden better than Obama or Clinton? That's the question to Democrats.
You have to believe he is. She said it. That's proof, right?
Yes. And Joe Scarborough, just so you show, I mean, what drugs are they doing at MSNBC? Scarborough, here's his tweet.
Yeah.
I have spent a good bit of time talking to Kevin McCarthy through the years and hours with Biden in 2024. There is no comparison. Biden is far sharper, more intellectually curious, and far more insightful on global affairs than any House GOP speaker I have met over the last 30 years.
This is what happens when you give your wife your password for Twitter.
Charles Cook. Biden is senile. Forget behind closed doors. Forget slipping. The guy is manifestly too old to be president. He slurs. He rambles. He becomes confused about where he is or what he's doing. He mixes up key details. He makes up stories, and having done so, he then forgets which lies he's told before. I can see this. You can see this. The American people can see this, which is why more of them believe that Joe Biden is too old to be president than support Social Security.
Yeah.
Robert Hur could see it, too, which is why he concluded that Biden was too old and forgetful to be prosecuted. It stands to reason that far from being magically improved, Joe Biden is far, far worse when he is out of the public eye than he is within it. But even if he's precisely the same, he's still unfit. When Joe Scarborough insists otherwise, as he does semi-regularly, he is making a fool of himself.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Just great.
Yeah. It's everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. I'm with you. My first reaction to the Wall Street Journal story was, what are you telling us we don't already see?
By the way, in that article, Charles Cook also goes after Trump. It's like he can't criticize, for some reason, Biden without bringing up Trump.
Yeah.
You can criticize Trump, but no. Biden stands on his own. Trump stands on his own.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's going to have their moments, but what's going on with Biden, everybody is witnessing what we believe to be the same thing. These are serious cognitive issues, not jet lag, not just having a moment where he forgets somebody's name. He clearly is not always in touch with his faculties, and that's a problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, the gaslighting now is starting again since the Wall Street Journal article.
Right. Yeah.
But I love it. Behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because we haven't noticed it at all.
Right.
Luckily, we have a camera behind closed doors.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we would know that he's having problems with his cognitive abilities.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's pretty obvious, I think, to anybody who's paying attention. I think it's something that, again, the White House isn't going to be able to get around. They're not going to. This is also the problem that they're going to have with the convention. But if they go virtual on the convention, how do we know that's Biden? I mean, his own Department of Justice told us the other day it could be AI. I don't know that that's Biden we're going to be seeing at the convention. You can't prove it. It could be AI. It could be a deep fake.
And Biden's Justice Department is the one who got that started.
Right. And by the way, historically, this might be a first, a deep fake of a deep fake. He himself is a deep fake.
It's completely now destroyed me ever watching football again.
Yeah.
Well, he gave a deep fake there on that route and was able to get by the safety and catch that pass and run in for the touchdown.
Right.
Oh, my gosh, I'm thinking of Biden.
Right.
I'm watching football to get away with this, and you said deep fake. It was a deep fake.
It's all a deep fake.
He made that double deep fake down about 30 yards from the line of scrimmage and then cut towards the corner of the end zone and caught that pass.
And now a deep fake video of Biden would be a double deep fake.
It's almost better than when Biden caught that touchdown for Army versus Navy back in 1943.
Yeah. Star player. Scored 64 points that game.
4 touchdowns in one game for Polkai.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. All within 10 minutes.
Al Bundy has nothing on Joe Biden.
Yeah, no.
I believe that's what Al Bundy had was
hero.
Four touchdowns in one game.
Was it 4? Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4 touchdowns, and not just in a season, 4 touchdowns in one game for Polkai.
Yeah.
By the way, you know the only football jersey I have? Because, the only football jersey I have is, what is it, I forgot what his number is, 33. I have an Al Bundy jersey.
There you go.
And it's a real football jersey.
Yeah. Right.
It says Polkai in the front and Bundy on the back.
Right.
And I'll sit there and I'll wear it and people go, oh my God, where'd you, I don't have any paraphernalia from, I may have a couple of old hats, but I don't have anything. I stopped buying from the NFL back a few years ago when they decided to, promote racists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
and imply that I'm a racist.
Yeah.
While doing it.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you want to go? Oh, I know where I want to go. Since today's D-Day.
Yeah.
I want to play this audio cut. You and I do the same thing. We wake up and then it's show prep. Then it's whatever work you got to do around the house. And it's show prep. So I was just in the thing of there were so many different things going on yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden I saw this. I teared up. This is a standing ovation. I'm getting goosebumps by saying this.
Yeah.
When we say we're doomed, this would be evidence that we may not be doomed. This is actually in France. This is 4,000 high school students in Normandy.
Yeah.
Standing to honor World War II veterans and the Americans and allies that gave up their life on Normandy on D-Day. Listen to this. Here we go.
Merci d'être avec nous ici aujourd'hui. À vous, messieurs, chers parents, qu'il y a encore dans cette boîte à liberté, quelques petits d'amour dans la langue publique, la culture, qui a apporté c'est la volonté, et puis qui vont même aussi avec cette liberté, cette boîte à liberté continue de résonner.
And there's, World War II soldiers who were there who are still alive, and they're all in their upper 90s.
Yeah.
My father's 98, and he was supposed to go in 44, but he was 4F because of foot problems, and then they took him in 45. I think he went in the summer of 45. I know. By the time he got in, because he didn't get. I don't think he got to Japan till the fall of 45. So the war was over when he got there, but he wasn't an infantryman or anything like that. He was my father. Think about this. They brought my father in, and so he wasn't 18. He was 19. You know what he was? At 19 years of age. When he used to tell me this, I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, but he was a teacher. Everybody was of higher rank, and he was a teacher at 19 years old, teaching how to repair Jeeps and other military equipment.
Which was imperative.
I know, yeah. I mean, again, it was after the war had. I mean, they were rebuilding Japan at that point, though. I mean, that's when the.
Yeah. My grandfather, my mom's dad, went in at 38. He enlisted at 38. He was an old man. That was old to enlist at 38.
Oh, yeah.
Truck driver, so 17th Tank Battalion, 7th Armored Division. I mean, they put you behind the wheel of a tank, and Battle of the Bulge. He was D-Day plus, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. It was later, late summer of 44, and then Battle of the Bulge, and then came home. And my mom's oldest sister, my oldest aunt, who is now passed, she told me years ago that his only complaint to his wife, my grandmother, was that about being there, was that the jackets weren't big enough, that it was a little cold. And otherwise, he didn't complain. And I think about all the stories that haven't been told and weren't told and now can't be told. He died in a truck accident September 1, 1956, after the war, here at home. But you think about all the stories, my dad at 18 going to North Korea, and then later got out of the Navy, and then got into the Air Force, and later went over to the Vietnam conflict. And, all these stories of these veterans who survived these wars, it just makes you wish you could capture every single moment. My dad is documenting quite a bit, still with us at the age of 91. And but it really makes you wish that all of those stories could have been told.
Well, that video was taken by a man by the name of Jack Carr, who was a former Navy SEAL sniper, has written a couple of books on it, and he was part of a volunteer group, as he wrote here on X. Honored and humbled beyond words to be here with my daughter, volunteering and supporting their mission to take care of the ones who took care of us, assisting World War II veterans as they return to the sand and soil on which they fought. I mean, they're all in their late 90s.
Yeah.
And so it was a volunteer group that helped them get over there. And you see, and it seems you've got thousands of people there, and they said 4,000 high school students in Normandy standing and cheering those World War II veterans.
Yeah.
I guess if you live around Normandy, you've seen the sight of the graves, and that has to be when you're right there.
I'm told it's ever present in their mind. The pits left behind from the USS Texas, and the shelling basically on the shore there, and you can see these massive pits, and they never filled them in for a reason. I mean, they want those remnants to be there of what it took, essentially, ultimately, to keep the world free.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Friday Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. What a day we had yesterday. We'll get to everything that happened from Fonnie Willis, and that, I guess, is was at the beginning of October. That hearing will begin, whether she should be disqualified, which means that's not going to happen. The judge in the classified documents case moved a bunch of things back. It looks like you're going to have nothing except the quote conviction of Donald Trump last week, and I saw
sentencing July 11th.
Yeah, and I saw so many stories out there yesterday. Democrats are trying to figure out whether they should use it or whether they should call him a convicted felon.
Right.
If you thought you had a solid case and the conviction was solid and the evidence was there, you would not be having that discussion.
You wouldn't have a problem with it at all.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio, and he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hi. Everybody having a good night? Well, we're doomed, but there's a lot of humor out there.
Yeah, I mean, just because we're doomed doesn't mean that it's all going to end like
right now
in 10 minutes. It may take a few days. It might take a minute.
All right, a blast from the past story, okay?
Yeah.
You and I, how long ago did it first come up? And I know one of the reasons it came up is because of a lot of the truck drivers who listen to the show. Many of them started complaining. This has to be over 10 years ago when they were talking about the congestion pricing in Manhattan.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and,
everything, I think, below 86th.
Right, and so they were going to start it, the congestion pricing. It came back again. And Governor Hochul said, nope, no congestion pricing plan. It's been, as the New York Post said, ditched indefinitely.
Yeah.
Governor Hochul saying it's not the right time as New Yorkers faced a cost of living crisis. Hochul announced plans to delay the $15 tolls June 30th start date, citing the undue strain on already stressed New Yorkers grappling with inflation. Let's be real. A $15 charge may not mean a lot to someone who has the means, but it can break the budget of a working or middle-class household, she said in a pre-taped video announcement. It puts the squeeze on the very people who make this city go. I cannot add another burden to working middle-class New Yorkers or create another obstacle to our continued economic recovery from the COVID pandemic. So you got liberals on one side saying we've got to have this, liberals on the other side going, I'm going to rescue you from those liberals over there,
right,
even though I'm a whacked-out liberal myself.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know where we left it. It was so long ago. Because for individuals, it was like, all right, if we were talking, I forget what it was, $6 to $7 a day. Well, it's already the price for parking. If you're driving in New York, the price for parking is already astronomical anyway. But then we talked about all the deliveries down in that zone.
And the deliveries are more. That was
it was 12. I want to say $12 a day.
No. Oh, $12 a day more, like $27 a day.
Yeah, it was something. It was it was astronomical.
I forgot what it was for trucks.
Right.
Yeah. And we just said, well, wait a minute. If in New York they're having problems already, remember, any congestion, a truck has to be in there. A truck, nobody is sightseeing. Well, I'm going to take my big truck down there, and we're going to sightsee.
Yeah.
No. They're delivering goods.
So it had gotten up. This is how long we have to adjust for inflation, because it was actually lower back when we first started talking about
$8, was it?
I want to say for cars, it was somewhere around 20-something for trucks. And it had gotten to $15. Let's see here. $15 for small trucks, $24 for, let's see here, large trucks. $36. Motorcycles, $7.50.
Taxi drivers, $1.25 per ride.
Yeah.
Uber, Lyft, and other ride shares, $2.50 per ride.
Right.
And it was below 60th Street.
Right. So they moved it. Yeah. Used to be below 86th. Well, we said, look, if it's about congestion, make it $100 a day.
Right. Then nobody will go in.
Exactly. If you're really trying to alleviate congestion,
and
that'll do it.
Well, no, if you're trying to alleviate congestion, see, these things aren't that hard. If you're saying we don't want the congestion down there, but we don't want to harm businesses as much, you don't have a toll on trucks. It's $100 for any vehicle that goes down there.
Right.
And $200 for motorcyclists. Why? Spite.
Exactly.
and then the thing is, too, so going after taxi drivers, going after Uber and Lyft, $2.50 per ride, taxis $1.25 per ride. I mean, they were hitting. Look, this was a fundraiser, but to hit large trucks that have to be there, because the passenger vehicles, we're not talking about your SUV. Passenger vehicles would be 15. We're talking about commercial trucks that are delivering down there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the most idiotic thing you could possibly imagine. How do we destroy Manhattan?
There you have it, right there.
Now, the fact is also Hochul realizes that with all the other tax burden, congestion may not be as big of a problem in 10 years.
Yeah.
In fact, they're thinking of having, instead of a congestion tax, an exit tax. If you attempt to drive your car or truck out of Manhattan to move somewhere else.
Right. They're going to charge you.
Or
$5 million.
Or repossess your vehicle.
Right. $5 million for everyone. And for big trucks, $10 million.
I mean, my God. I mean, it's just.
No, I mean, it's insane. It's this idea that, again, call it a fundraiser. Because even small trucks at $24.
I know.
Because the response for car drivers was, it's already astronomical to park every day, so, whatever. But if you've got to add that, because the trucks are going to pass that along to all their customers down there. That's what it comes down to.
And a lot of the small trucks are, who are they delivering to? Small businesses.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just like.
Right. Well, I mean, you would have to take your Amazon deliveries down to 1 day a week, right?
Yeah.
That's your best bet.
No, you're right.
Right?
No.
And just limit what you're going to get. I mean, those small businesses, if you look at how they run, they're so busy, especially in a highly congested area. There's so many people. They're going through supplies like crazy. So there's no telling how many trucks are going to be delivering to your small business on a regular basis.
A delay in the big problem. What is the big problem they face now? A delay in the congestion pricing plan start date does not require legislative approval, according to the New York Post, but the state, Senate, and Assembly would have to approve legislation to make up for the subsequent revenue loss to the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which had been slated to receive roughly $1 billion in revenue a year.
And they've already spent it.
From the congestion plan. And Hochul's office did not say how it intends to replace the funds, but the source told the Post it potentially could entail increasing taxes on Big Apple businesses by adjusting the state's payroll mobility tax. So they still got to find a tax.
Yeah, they still got to have their fundraising.
Right. They're still going to have a tax that harms the economy. They're just going to find another tax.
Yeah, they need
that is more stealth.
Right.
They need a better stealth tax.
Right.
Democrats are really big, and we've often said this, and we've never figured out. Well, maybe they have, because now the Democratic Party has become more the party of the elite, as we all know. It's really amazing, that transformation in the last in the last few years. But we've always wondered, because the biggest lie, economic lie, one of the biggest economic lies, I don't want to say the biggest lie because there have been so many economic lies, is that raising corporate taxes punishes those greedy people.
Right.
And it doesn't. It's a stealth tax that hurts the poor and the middle class the most. And every Democrat knows it, but they go along with it. They're okay with a stealth tax. Let's have a hidden. They know the money is in the middle class. They know that's where the real money is. That's who they can, because it's such a widespread area. But they can't do it directly, so corporate taxes are a great way to put a stealth tax on the middle class that hurts the poor the most.
Well, Obama acknowledged it with, again, when he talked about his version of cap and trade. Under my plan of cap and trade, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. Forget what I say about coal, whether it's good or bad. These regulations will force them to retrofit their operations, and they will pass that cost along to the consumer. He said it.
Right. He knew it. They all know it. Remember the whole capital gains thing?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Who was that who asked that on ABC? I forgot who that was.
That was Charlie Gibson.
Yeah, Charlie Gibson asking him about capital gains.
Yeah.
You know, when you raise capital gains, you get less revenue.
Right.
Why, if your whole goal as a liberal, now I'm adding words in here, but as a liberal, if your goal is to raise more tax dollars to fund your social programs, why would you enact something why would you raise a capital gains rate that would bring in less revenue,
right?
Therefore, less money for those social programs that you want? And he said, because there needs to be a sense of fairness.
We'll do it out of a sense of fairness.
Do it out of a sense of fairness. So he knew. He didn't care. He didn't care what actually worked. All he cared was the symbolism that we're hurting people they may be hurting them, but they're hurting everybody across the board because taxes affect everybody. But when you talk about corporate taxes, if it's across the board, then everybody raises their prices.
Right. Yep.
And that's the problem with the corporate tax.
This is what Hochul knew with inflation. I mean, she's going to have to come up with some kind of other stealth plan, and of course they'll float that after November 5th.
Yeah, they must have a stealth plan, which again, that's why some type of corporate tax is what they're always looking for, because they wish to tax the middle class and the poor, but make it stealth so they don't know it. And then when the price of goods and services go up, liberals scream at the greed of corporations for raising their prices.
And as you've always said, the local media covering things, in New York, of course they were going to cover the brand new congestion fee, because people would be complaining about it to no end. And so the local media gives it coverage. You can't have that. Make it a stealth tax.
Yeah, stealth tax, nobody knows it's happening.
Right. Because if they're talking about the pass-through employment tax or whatever, income tax or all of that, then you're talking about companies that aren't necessarily even based in New York.
There is, in this age of doomation, the one good thing is people are starting to understand economics.
Mm-hmm.
How? Inflation.
Yeah.
There's no problem with people spending, with government spending, no problem. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, geez, what do we do now?
Right.
We need to provide for all these social programs, but we have spent so much and put the burden so much on future generations, but also the burden now is on the people that are alive right now, the current population. that has to pay for the cost of inflation, which is drowning people.
Yeah.
And as we've said, eventually people would feel the consequences of irresponsible government spending. Well, you are now.
Yep.
And so what are the Democrats trying to do? All right, we still need to get money. Stealth tax, corporate taxes. That's why they push that the most.
Right.
Because they know it's a stealth tax and they can get a ton of money from the middle class and the poor.
Yep. And then go back and blame corporations for passing it along to the consumer.
You've seen it with inflation.
Oh, yeah. We've seen it with every level of taxation. And remember in Philadelphia when they passed the sugar tax, and then retailers were putting signs up to say, hey, this is why a 12-pack of soda now costs $12. And local leaders were saying, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't tell them why.
You can't be transparent.
How dare you?
You can't be transparent. We're all for transparency. You're anti-transparency because you're being transparent.
Right.
By the way, I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's what they were saying.
Yeah. No, that's it.
I mean, it's like the whole anti-racism. Anti-racism is racism.
Mm-hmm.
The whole concept that has come up from the left of anti-racism is racism.
Right.
Just like Antifa, which Eric and I were calling them Antifa when nobody even knew they existed because we thought anti-fascist is what they, but Antifa, they're fascist.
Yeah.
They're not anti-fascist. They're fascist. That's the one thing that liberalism has done over the last decade or so. Just redefine all the words 180 degrees in the opposite direction.
Yep.
Not working anymore.
Nope.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Owner-operators with authority generally have two options when it comes to sourcing freight. Brokers on the spot market or directly from the source, the shipper. As any trucker with relatively recent experience with spot freight knows, the highs of working the load boards can be really high. On the other side of that coin, however, when the market flips in favor of shippers, it can be tough to keep your business afloat working with brokers. The smallest carriers with direct customers, however, can hang on through tough times or even prosper, as long as demand for their customers' product remains at least somewhat stable. Owner-operators in it for the long haul make direct business with customers a principal goal. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, got this audio cut here from Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana yesterday explaining Biden's border evolution. All right, here we go.
For 3 years, President Biden told us all, there is no crisis at the southern border for reasons clearly stated on the teleprompter. And his plan to deal with the crisis at the border was to pretend that there wasn't a crisis at the border. Some of you reported that. Some of you didn't. Well, when the American people figured it out, because they may be poorer under President Biden, but they're not stupid, the Biden administration shifted its strategy. It then said, well, we know there's a crisis at the border, but we don't have any authority to fix it. That didn't work either, because the American people aren't cell deep stupid. So now he has decided to tell you that he has been born again. He has had an epiphany. He is now a border hawk. And that's what he wants you to report. Look, you can cut the hypocrisy with a knife.
But everything he said was true. In 1 minute, he was able to explain the evolution, but there really has not been an evolution. Right?
No,
he's not a border hawk.
As with as with the war between Hamas and Israel, he talks as if he's pro-Israel, and he acts as if he is not as if he acts just the way he is, and that is pro-Hamas. He is pro-open border. He created this for a reason, and the executive order the other day did nothing. And you don't have to believe us. Just go to the very liberal NBC News.
Yeah.
It's not going to do anything.
Well, you notice how the story sort of died yesterday in mainstream media?
It just went nowhere.
There's nothing, yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So what is this border executive order? What does it actually do, and what's in it? There's a column in the Washington Examiner by Con Carroll, who wrote this. President Joe Biden may have claimed his new executive order on border security would bar migrants who cross the southern border unlawfully from receiving asylum, but in reality, the memo implementing the new regulation maintains all the existing loopholes and even prompts migrants to ask for protection from deportation. The June 4th memo from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Acting Director to ICE's Enforcement and Removal Operations Director does suspend the entry of non-citizens apprehended for illegally crossing the southern border, but then it includes a huge list of exceptions to the new ban on entry, including non-citizens who a U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer permits to enter based on the totality of the circumstances, including consideration of significant law enforcement, officer and public safety, urgent humanitarian, and public health interests that warrant permitting the non-citizen to enter, and non-citizens who a CBD officer permits to enter due to operational considerations that warrant permitting the non-citizen to enter. In other words, migrants arrested for illegally crossing the southern border are not to be admitted unless they qualify under the same loopholes that they are being released into the United States today. Take, for example, Jose Ibarra, who the accused killer of nursing student Laken Riley. Under the current law, once Ibarra was apprehended for illegally crossing the southern border in September of 2022, Biden was under the legal obligation to detain him until he was removed from the country. But instead of removing him as required from law, Biden chose to grant Ibarra parole because the Department of Homeland Security had no capacity to detain him. Ibarra went on to get arrested in New York City on charges relating to endangering a child before allegedly murdering Riley in Georgia. Biden's new executive order keeps the exact same loopholes that allowed him to be released back into the country. Just like before when DHS paroled Ibarra because the DHS had no capacity to detain him, Biden's new order always allows illegal immigrants to be released due to operational considerations that warrant permitting the non-citizens to enter, and that's a quote.
This was the concern from the beginning when they started floating this idea of this executive order, is that exactly where was the wiggle room? And on this, it seems like it's pretty much all over the place.
It's right here. There's been no change. The southern border is just as wide open now after Biden's executive order as it was without Biden's executive order.
Right.
You simply, in the first sentence, you say, here's the law and here's what we're going to do, and then you just add all the exemptions, which makes the law. or makes your executive order the same of what your executive order was before.
Yeah.
And why?
Exactly.
Because he believes the people that, and by the way, the far left is angry at him because they know it's not going to do any difference, but he can't even say it. On the left, you can't, on the far left, seems to be no longer permissible to lie about what you're going to do, even if it favors them. Yeah. You have to speak because the speaking of it is so critically important. How you speak on an issue is just as important as the substance or lack of substance. I'll give you another example of it. When Biden got rid of the Keystone XL pipeline.
Yeah, right.
Now, everybody knew, every climate change adherent knew by their own standard of climate change, that what the president was doing was going to make climate change, by their standards, worse, not better. And his energy secretary, his climate change czar, and his transportation secretary, all disagreed with what he was doing and said so publicly that what he is doing will actually make climate change worse because the oil will have to be transported by train or truck, and that will put more global warming gases into the atmosphere.
Exactly.
The Democratic Party didn't care.
No.
Because he was saying the right thing. He was saying the correct thing, even though the substance of it worked against what the far left wanted. The words are more important than actually the substance or lack of substance of what will actually get done. And here, even though Biden has done, from what I can see, nothing with all the exceptions in this law, which makes the law exactly this, or the executive order exactly the same as before, it doesn't matter to the far left. His language is wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And like I said, how do you deal with the political party like that? That's a tough thing. When they lie about everything, and then you realize that even those that are the strict adherents to the far left political dogma, that they don't even care whether the substance of what they want to get done gets done. It's whether the language is right.
Well, that's it. I mean, Obama with Charlie Gibson back in 2008 on the debate stage.
Yeah.
We'll do it out of a sense of fairness. It doesn't matter if we're saying the right things. It's satisfying an emotion. That's what you're doing. Think about all of the moves by the Biden administration, by the left. What are you doing ultimately? You're going after all of the political enemies. You're going after big oil. You're going after Trump. You're going after all of the political enemies. What are you actually getting done? What are you actually doing that's going to help the actual people of the U.S.? We were asking during the primary season of 2020 for the Democrats, for the rank and file Democrat, what are any of them promising to do? Actually do something for you, for the country. And we don't mean freebies. What can they do that puts everybody in a better place? When we talk about lowering corporate taxes, that makes it to where corporations can be more competitive. The opposite makes it to where they pass it along to you. And when taxes go up, they pass it along a lot faster to the consumer. That's the way it's always going to be. And so what is it that is beyond the punishment? We're going to go after. You have heard almost exclusively those words from the Democrats. We're going to go after. What are they actually going to do for the American people? What do they promise to do to make this country actually better.
Wow, you made me think.
Hmm.
You made me think. I like that. I wasn't thinking at all before.
Hey,
you
we
made me
woke
think.
Gary up, everybody.
All right, my brain is starting to work now. No, but what a great line to use for Republicans. You know, Democrats keep telling you they're going to go after big business. They're going to go after big oil. They're going to go after all these companies that have provided you with an incredible standard of living. And when you look at who has created the problem, it is the Democrats. We've stated this over and over. This would be an extension of if you're running the ad. Democrats and Democrats and Biden can't and won't solve the problems because they created the problem, and then they blame it on everybody else. They go after. They keep telling you, we're going to go after big business. We're going to go after the oil. We're going to go after this. When they're the ones that created the problem, I'm Donald Trump. We're going to go after the Democrats because they caused the problems. Or insert any name of a senator or a congressperson running.
Or corporation or industry. I mean, you know, if you think about it, that's what they have always, that for years they've been promising to go after. That they're in full-time, permanent punishment mode.
Yeah. And when the actual culprits of who is making your life harder is the Democratic Party, and we can, as we pointed out point by point by point, how they've made your life harder.
Yep.
They've lied to you about the border. We know what that's done to many cities. We know
spent beyond our means, far beyond our means.
They just one of the biggest tax increases in Illinois, and the people have figured it out. Well, that $1 billion. Well, that's you just raised taxes $1 billion. Oh, you mean the $1 billion that went to migrants?
Yeah,
people understand that that's what they're doing. But the border, inflation, defund the police, no bail, homelessness, everything that they do has made your life harder, and in some cases to people, especially in Democrat cities, an absolute living hell.
Yeah.
But it's not an accident.
No.
It's calculated. It's what as we have stated, that's why Republicans need to pound it. It's what the Democrats want. This country right now is what they want.
Yeah.
The suffering you have because of inflation is what they want. It's calculated.
Absolutely.
It's not an accident. This was the policy that they enacted that we told you and some liberals told you, like the Obama economists. They told you, don't do it. This is what's going to happen. And now he's lying to you and trying to tell you that he's a border hawk now, and he's not a border hawk.
Right.
And everybody knows it. By the way, he can't sell that to the American people, which is why I believe that story really disappeared and the intensity of that was gone.
It's because there's no way to go out and promote it. You know, when you do something and purely for the political benefit with this kind of timing, at the beginning of June, in a presidential election season, then often it's take it on the road. Take it on the road. They couldn't take it. It didn't, in fact, it didn't go anywhere.
Well, they couldn't get to Normandy fast enough.
No.
Well,
exactly.
Well, what a great point. Can Biden go out next week and start doing his campaign speeches saying, and we're ensuring that nobody crosses the border illegally. We are going to clamp down. Nobody crosses the border. We're shutting down the border. We're securing the border. Can he actually, he did it in his speech to announce and secure the border behind him.
Yeah.
I was dying laughing when I saw that. I'm like, what's the reaction of liberals to that?
Well,
secure the border.
Exactly. There's because no one would even try and dispute that Republicans have been calling for this for a long time, and this whole thing, I'm going to do what the Republicans refuse to do, is garbage. They look at that, people look at that and scoff. It's laughable. It's tragic.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, I saw a headline on the Drudge Report that said this, and I looked at it, I go, well, come on. This is a Babylon Bee headline. And it's like, here it is. Trump could weaponize spy services against his domestic political enemies.
Gary, he might even use the secret court to do that, to help him do that. My gosh, can you imagine? I mean, I know it sounds outrageous, and nobody would ever actually do it.
So then that made me go to the Babylon Bee and go, wonder what their headlines are for today.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to call out the Babylon Bee for not being a parody site today.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
This is the problem with the Babylon Bee. Here's their lead headline. Biden announces plan to pretend to care about the border until November 6th.
Wow, that's almost. By the way, that's getting pretty close to plagiarism. I'm pretty sure I saw the almost exact same headline at NBC News. Careful, Babylon Bee.
I mean,
oh my God,
there is no parody there.
No, there's no
parody.
No
parody.
Yeah. There's no parody.
Babylon Bee, stop being journalists.
That's right.
You're not journalists.
Get back to work.
You're comedy parody writers.
That's right.
You parody the reality. You don't report the reality.
Exactly.
I mean, well, you don't report the reality 100%.
Right, yeah.
In order to have a parody, you got to report part reality.
Right. Quit being journalists.
There it is. Biden announces plan to pretend to care about the border until November 6th from the Babylon Bee. Stop printing the truth.
Right. Learn from the liberal media.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hi. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Time for a Pride Month update.
Okay, what do we got?
All right. What do we got here? Lady MAGA USA. Lady MAGA USA is a gay man who was a drag queen.
Okay.
Who is a Trump supporter.
Okay.
And has been at various Pride events promoting Trump. You and I talked about on Bourbon Street. That flag came down, the gay Pride flag, but on it was Trump Pride. It's like, oh
right.
my God.
Yeah.
It's like how things are changing. Well, Lady MAGA USA went up to a bunch of protesters that were part of the Queers for Palestine, and we've seen them out there at many of the protests and riots or whatever you want to call them. Here is an interview that he did, by the way, in full drag. And I just wonder, because they're not screaming at him. So he came up because he's in full drag. Did they relate to him, and were they more acceptant of him? But it's interesting because you find out how absolutely clueless these people are. Here it is.
And so I did a study abroad in the Middle East with Israel and Palestine.
Would you say you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel?
Pro-Palestine.
As a gay man, I would be punished and or put in prison or killed if I were openly gay in Palestine. How do you react to that?
I didn't know that. So
it is illegal to be gay in Palestine. You are punished by prison or death.
Israel?
No, Israel has gay pride. Israel is completely open to lesbian and gay people. Palestine puts them in prison or kills them. You weren't aware of that?
I was not aware of that, no. So that does pose an interesting aspect.
I had to stop there. That poses
an
interesting.
That's your reaction? Oh, well, that's interesting.
Well, that's interesting. I'm going to have to contemplate.
She didn't come out immediately and reject it and say, well, that's unacceptable. Oh, that's an interesting aspect. You bring up a fair point. I guess we can agree to disagree.
We're not done yet, but I mean, it's such a great. Yeah, I had to stop there. You just got to stop. Well, that's pretty interesting. So if I went there,
so what you're saying is,
and promoted that I'm queer for Palestine.
Yeah,
they'll kill me.
That's interesting.
Well, that could ruin my weekend.
Yes, I
don't know.
I could see how some people might view that as a negative.
Well, we sort of get there here in the next segment. You ready?
Okay.
Here,
Right.
it continues.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right.
Have you seen the Queers for Palestine movement? It's a very common movement, but I don't see any Muslims for Queer movements.
Yes. That's where it gets gray, right? Like
Where it gets gray? Gray?
Well, Lady MAGA USA.
That's where the lines get kind of blurry. We're not sure. Gray area.
Here's how he responds. Here we go.
that's where I feel
Well,
like
for me, it's not gray. I am fearful of Islam because there is no Islamic country on earth that embraces me as a gay man.
So okay, so maybe I'm confused because Israel, which is still an Islam country, right?
No, Jewish.
Okay.
So Israel's Jewish, Palestinians are Islamic.
Okay.
That's it, because she's just looking like completely.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We touched on this before. How many of them actually even know anything about it? How many of them? How many of them rushed out to grab a protest sign and join somebody else in their hatred for the Jews?
And it's funny because he's standing there, the Lady MAGA USA, the drag queen, with another man who has a Trump shirt on.
Yeah.
Is it a Trump shirt? I can't tell. I thought it said Trump. It looks like Abraham Lincoln on. I don't know, but and it's a gay pride event in Utah.
Yeah.
And people are walking by them, and he said gently campaigning campaigning for Trump outside Utah Pride with kindness. I even got a hug.
Oh. Well,
isn't that special?
I guess that's something to consider. I mean, if you're against that kind of thing, I mean, seriously, where was she going to go? She's clueless. She had no idea.
Actually, a piece in the Rolling Stone about Lady MAGA USA.
Oh.
The loneliest drag queen in America.
Well, yep. Yep, I could see that.
Actually, was from 2023, the article.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But it's hard out there for a right-wing drag queen.
Wow. No truer sentence has ever been uttered.
Oh my gosh. It's just...
the problem is waiting until we get Scarborough on this. What? Right-wing drag queens? When did this happen?
Mika,
what do I feel about this?
Am I... In case people don't know, in case you're just tuning in right now, we were just pounding on Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe,
right?
And where he was stating that Biden is I don't even want to paraphrase it here. I got to that Biden is it here? Is it here? No, I don't.
It's a social media post.
Yeah, it was a social media post where he was comparing Biden, that Biden is more aware than any, basically Republican Speaker of the House.
Right, yeah.
Has it more together than McCarthy or any Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's completely delusional. I mean, it's just to the point of, remember, he, as we've stated before, Joe Scarborough used to represent Matt Gaetz's district, which is one of the most Republican conservative districts in the United States and Florida.
Yep.
And my old favorite stomping grounds. God, I gotta get back there.
Yeah.
And basically, I think Niceville, Florida, is where he has his office, but it encompasses, I believe, like Niceville, Valparaiso, Fort Walton Beach, Navarre, where I used to live, Navarre, Florida, Navarre Beach. But I got to get back to whitest sands on the planet. I'm telling you, that surprised me when I went down there when I lived there.
Yeah,
for what was it 2.5 years?
Yeah,
man, it was great.
Yeah, the beach at night is practically lit. When
when the moon's out, yeah.
When my son-in-law was stationed at Pensacola NAS, we went to the beach. That's the first time I think I went to those beaches, and the sand just was practically glowing in the moonlight. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I remember, I think it was right around Christmas. I remember we went to somebody's house on Pensacola Beach, and then we drove the National Seashore Road, which is on the outer, like the barrier where Navarre Beach is, and now they've got condos and stuff there. When I was living there was nothing, but except dunes, and we're driving down that road, and I was going back to Buffalo like the next morning,
right.
And it felt Christmassy because the dunes looked like
snow
piles.
Yeah.
It did. It really did.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. I mean, I loved living in Navarre, Florida. And the funny thing is, and I had a house right on the Intercoastal Waterway, probably about for the bridge that crosses anybody listen. And I know we got a lot of listeners in that in that area because whenever I mention Navarre, I get emails. You lived here? Whoa. And I lived right on the Intercoastal Waterway.
Yeah.
And we had our own little beach because the sand is still white in the Intercoastal Waterway.
Yeah.
And you could walk out, well, let's put it this way. I walked out, as far as I walked out, it never got above my shoulders. Now, the channel that's dug for the barges goes down, but it's not really, and the water was crystal clear, and didn't need a swimming pool. I get up in the morning, walk right out my front door, and there was nobody. There was a little cottage there, and then a trailer, and basically a mobile home.
Yeah.
My afternoon guy, Dangerous Dan Patrick. He did afternoons for the station I worked at.
Yeah.
He lived there. He's the one that told me about the little house there, and it was great because there was nobody was there. I mean, now it's much more developed. In fact, last year I looked. And that lot, there were houses all around it, but that specific lot, I could still see the telephone pole and the little circle where you could turn around. My house was gone, but somebody told me, a friend of mine said, they bought that land and they're going to develop that part of the land, but it was still there. Had our own little beach and everything, walk right down would swim in the morning.
Yeah.
Dolphins would be out there in the Intercoastal Waterway. Never saw a shark on the Intercoastal Waterway.
Great fishing.
Oh, just
tons of Spanish mackerel.
Just great, and I'm just thinking back of all the good days when I was a beach bum, and I wasn't really a beach bum. I mean, I worked in beach bum meant you did things like windsurfing and Hobie catch sailing and body surfing. The body surfing was really cool.
Yeah,
I was watching it was on the other day. It came up in just YouTube Shuffle with Laird Hamilton and the waves that he has.
Oh, they're insane.
He challenged.
Insane.
And the one was it Tahiti, the one that he caught?
Yeah.
He said is basically nobody else has ever done it. And
Right.
it's such a tight, I don't know what you call it, that when it spins around like that. But he's
The barrel, yeah.
The barrel, yeah, I guess the barrel you call it. And he's in the middle of it, and they just went, my God, how did he do that? It's
Right.
like
All of a sudden he shoots out the other end. It's like, yeah, when they do that, it's amazing to watch. I mean, it's incredible.
And body surfing, and they talked about, getting, because when they started doing the tow surfing, where they go way out to the big waves and you get crushed, it was like, every fall you could die. And it's true.
Yeah.
And I remember catching a big wave after a big storm, just body surfing, probably a 6 or 7 foot wave. And I caught it like, I don't know, too early or too late. And it sucked all the water out where the sand was there. And I dropped like just about 7 feet, hit the sand, and then it hit me. I thought I was going to die. I thought my back was broken. It was that
Even
hard.
the smallest of waves, sometimes when they hit the sand in the right way, it just sounds like it's pounding the sand. And if you've ever been in the surf, just wading out in the surf, again, the smallest of waves can take you off your feet with no problem. So I can't imagine the level that those guys and gals surf at. Just amazing.
Yeah, but Joe Scarborough, that was his district. Now it's Matt Gaetz' district, and he's lost it completely. Not even a liberal.
Well,
I mean, he went from being, I think, probably a moderate Republican to just a delusional far-left liberal.
Scarborough, not Gaetz, by the way. Yeah.
What'd I say?
No, you were talking about Scarborough. I just wanted to make sure because, we mentioned both. But Scarborough is just off the deep end. He really is.
And
I don't know that now. I don't know that I believe he was ever a conservative.
Yeah, because you don't go that crazy as he's gone. He's crazy.
He's just the flying the Biden flag at all costs with zero logic, none. So, sorry, I can't believe you were ever a conservative. I don't buy it. I just don't.
Yeah, I'll find the exact quote coming up next in National Review.
Yeah,
that
crazy.
had a column on it because he's delusional.
He really is. He really is.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so I found it from Joe Scarborough. Here it is that he tweeted yesterday. And this is part of the delusion, and this is after the Wall Street Journal article talking about that behind closed doors, people are worried about, Joe Biden and his cognitive abilities.
Yeah.
And the media has just reacted in this campaign in just fury. And we had played one of the Biden campaign people saying, no, he's just absolutely the most, energetic and smart and everything else. The typical crap that nobody believes. Then Joe Scarborough on MSNBC. I have spent a good bit of time talking to Kevin McCarthy through the years and hours with Biden in 2024. There is no comparison. Biden is far sharper, more intellectually curious, and far more insightful on global affairs than any House GOP speaker I have met over 30 years. And then his campaign said he has been the best president out of the last 5 or 6.
Yeah, which includes Obama, and as you mentioned, Clinton.
Obama and Clinton. So we have
for Democrats, if you're going to
if
this is going to be their claim.
Right. So we're not going to ask a Democrat whether you believe that Biden is better than Reagan or the Bushes.
Right.
Because we know what your answer would be. So we'll make it easy for you. Is Biden a better president than Obama or Clinton?
Right. Is he better than the first black president, Bill Clinton?
Yes. Well, no. I saw the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It was Blacks for Trump, saying Trump is the first black president.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that.
I forgot to mention that the other day.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
didn't see that.
my gosh, I got
Yeah.
to make sure I mention that one on the air. Trump is the first black president.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Well, you're seeing right now, again, this delusional state that the left has to live in until November 5th. And it's all they can do. Scarborough just has to make it up.
Well, we asked that once you start lying about everything, where do you go?
Well,
once you become absolutely delusional, you can only get more delusional.
Yeah.
And
right.
The proof of that is Biden attempting to backtrack and pretending he cares about the border. We went through it with you earlier, what the actual memo was to ICE, and all the loopholes that were there before are still there now.
And nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
And so he attempts it. Once you become so delusional and you're a pathological liar on everything. And remember, things like, as we stated this a long time ago, to the danger to Democrats to embracing the fact that a man can be a woman because a man says so.
Right.
And that a man should be playing women's sports. And that a man gets to define what a woman is, and that's why a man can play women's sports, because they get to define a man. And then the misogyny that exists in there, the threat towards these women. And we just said, you go to this delusional point, then the only thing that can come after this is more delusion, and that's all you've gotten on every single issue.
Oh, yeah.
Complete delusional.
Yep.
Polling better than Biden. Eric and Gary on Red Eye Radio.
But barely. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So I was reading, because I had the tweet in front of me here, or the X'd. I had the X'd in front of me.
Yeah, the post on X.
Right. But see, you can't say tweet, so I got X'd. I have the X'd here, where Joe Scarborough from MSNBC, after the Wall Street Journal article that said for 45 people they interviewed, Republicans and Democrats worried about the president. And then the Democrats that spoke to the media, the administration found out who they were and told them, go back and toe the company line. But you had one of the spokespeople for the Biden campaign yesterday say, no, he is just so energetic. His mind is so incredibly clear, and he has done more. He's been a better president than the last 5 or 6, which would include then Obama and Clinton. So we asked Democrats whether Biden is a better president than Obama and Clinton, and just mull that over.
Yeah.
But he wrote, Joe Scarborough, I've spent a good bit of time talking to Kevin McCarthy through the years and hours with Biden in 2024. There's no comparison. Biden is far sharper, more intellectually curious, and far more insightful on global affairs than any House GOP speaker I've met over the past 30 years. And then some of the responses here. This is really embarrassing for you. Dude, you typed that crap out and actually hit post. You know that, right? You didn't even put satire or a label or anything. You know we see Joe on camera all the time, right? Literally not a single human being believes this. Then another one here, another response. Do you really need to embarrass yourself even more than you are already humiliated, groveling at the Dems' feet over your tainted and notorious past? I'm no Kevin fan, but only a compromised stooge would say Biden is sharper than anyone besides the severely brain injured. Oh, wow. Just being pounded when here's another one, when your credibility evaporates into the wind. Pretty sure Kevin knows the difference between Xi and Putin. This is the funniest parody account on X. Scarborough. Put down Hunter's pipe, pal.
That's funny.
Someone do a well check on now. See, this guy has our opinion. Someone do a well check on Joe. He may have had too many gummies. And then somebody puts the Robert Gates quote. Joe Biden has been wrong on almost every foreign policy and national security issue for the last 4 decades. That was a quote from Robert Gates, who was the defense secretary under Obama.
Yeah, right.
Wow. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, you just have to live in a delusional state until the election.
And so many of them go, is this satire? Am I missing the sarcasm here somewhere?
No, I mean, that's where you have to go. You have to essentially try and state the opposite as the truth. Nobody believes that for a moment.
And that's where we are now. And that's why, when I was asked yesterday, what do you think about the campaign now? And I like it because it's funny because it gets my mind moving. Where are we right today?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, where the Republicans are right now is the fact that what we're seeing is not 2016 or even 2020. I'm not saying people don't like Trump, but the absolute idolatry is gone. This is about what Trump stands for and what Trump is a victim of.
What he represents right now.
Right. It's what he represents. It's
on every level.
Right, on every single and it's been helped tremendously by the Democrats on all the issues where they're delusional.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a few examples. Biden, who still believes, I know he had to change it and throw in nuclear, but he didn't for the longest time until he became president. They go, look, you can't be saying that we can run everything on solar and wind. It's not possible. You sound like an idiot. Will you even though we're not going to do nuclear, just throw it in so you don't sound like a jerk.
Right.
Because you can't do it. I mean, that's a delusional thought right there. That a man can be a woman because a man says so is delusional. That blacks all have to think alike and whites all think alike, that's delusional. That it's racist, but it's also it's absolutely delusional to back so many of the things that he has is just delusional.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that the Republican Party is united because the lawfare is what put everything over the top.
Yeah,
Americans look at that and say, this is Republicans and conservatives look at this and say, my God, they crossed a line you can't cross.
Yeah. Yeah.
They crossed a line you cannot cross. They made up a crime to go after a political opponent. And that's why the Republicans are united right now, plus all the issues on top of it, too. And Democrats right now are just absolutely delusional on everything. They don't know where to go.
Well, you can't defend. Here's the thing. There's no way to defend what's going on with the economy. There's no way to defend his border move. There's no way to defend how he broke the border. There's no way to defend anything he's done. The botched exit of Afghanistan. The alliance with Hamas. You have to jump into a delusional state and just live there.
Yeah.
It goes beyond lying. Right. It goes beyond lying. You just kind of have to make it up as you go along. Because is anyone waking up this morning going, I thought there might be something going on with Biden being the oldest president ever. I thought, what I was seeing was the truth. But, Joe Scarborough makes a great point. I've completely changed my mind. He's the witness. That's all I need.
Well, it's funny because we had mentioned Representative Dan Goldman, and how he got burned big time because now the Department of Justice says, no, nothing was hacked. Nothing was hacked at all. Nothing. Right. Absolutely nothing.
Right.
And Goldman was the biggest one, even a couple of months ago, that was pounding on Michael Schellenberger, saying, oh, Giuliani, the Russians. He goes, well, wait a minute. You say we're peddling conspiracy theories. What's your evidence? There's plenty of evidence that Giuliani and the Russians, hacked into Hunter Biden's laptop. There was none. And he's completely wrong. We said, how do you become the sacrificial lamb for the Democrats? I mean, and because it's a really interesting question. Is he that stupid? We've talked about how many times he's actually hurt the case for Biden rather than help it.
Right.
And now he just he's going to be eviscerated by other Republican representatives, and he's got no answer. He lied about that there was there was evidence that Giuliani or the Russians were involved in it. He knew it wasn't true.
Right.
He said the evidence existed.
Right.
To Schellenberger, and he goes, see, now you're peddling the conspiracy theory that you claim we're peddling. We're not peddling any conspiracy theories. We can back it up. You just threw that out. And he was embarrassed. But then again, you look at it. Look at the hill that Joe Scarborough, and again, we understand that he's on MSNBC. I don't know what his ratings are, 1 million people watch it, so that would be maybe 1 million people watch it. I don't even know what the audience is for Scarborough.
Yeah, I don't know.
For Morning Joe. It can't be huge. I don't think...
it's better than CNN. I don't think he's quite doing the Fox and Friends numbers. I think they're still number one in cable news.
Just looking at it here, seeing if anything. 17 years. Let me see. This goes back to March 27th. MSNBC's on-air revolt did little to boost ratings.
Well, well, because who are you in a moment like that with Scarborough and these moments he's had in trying to defend Biden? Who are you trying to convince? Biden's own party that didn't want him to be the nominee?
But what do you... Because everyone knows, there isn't anybody who's sitting at that panel that doesn't know that Joe Biden is that doesn't know that Joe Scarborough is being absolutely delusional in that.
Right.
And the reason I bring it up is not that he has a huge impact, but it is the only place you can really go on TV for far left liberal news.
Yeah.
Or far left liberal propaganda. Because it's far left there. You can't even find it. Even CNN is asking questions that makes it so, well, conservatives aren't going to watch and liberals aren't going to watch.
Right.
Because the real passionate liberals, the far left wacko man can be a woman wacko liberals, they're all watching MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very, very small audience that believes that when Joe Scarborough says that that Biden is is more knowledgeable, intellectually curious, and just knows way more about world affairs than any GOP speaker over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Nobody buys it. No one does. It's delusional.
Yeah, and again, if that's where, I don't know, he wants it. Is there any credibility left? But if that's where you're going to burn all your credibility, I guess good luck. Because Biden's own side doesn't believe it. You're trying to be the torchbearer for a fire that doesn't exist. And that's the problem. There is no great passion or euphoria behind the Biden campaign. In fact, if there's a fire burning, it's on the other side now. It's with Trump. And we're not talking even his base that's been there, all along. We're talking about things that have come about that have expanded his base for all the reasons we talked about just moments ago. So there is no passion for the Biden campaign. There isn't. There just isn't. And I think if you're going to get out there, and stump for Biden, you're just going to have to be delusional. You're just going to have to say nothing is wrong. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, nothing wrong with the economy. The border situation is fine. And you have to essentially jump on the pro-Hamas bandwagon. Wow. Used to be celebrities would come out of the woodwork for the left. They would come out of the woodwork for anybody that's running as a Democrat. Countless celebrities. We just want to be seen with them because it's so cool, because there's so much euphoria surrounding the campaign and what's going on. Now, maybe in 2012 for the re-election campaign of Barack Obama, euphoria wasn't quite what it was in 2008, but it was still there. Now you've got nothing.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Caitlin Clark's still in the news. You know the interesting thing about that whole thing with her and the WNBA and the shove and all that? We talked about the Republican representative who wants answers on it, and I had fun with that yesterday with some of my friends. Good to see that Republicans are really concerned about something of importance. Now, it's only the one representative. I can't think of his name now, out of Indiana. But it was still like, I want answers from the WNBA about the shove. Oh, so does Congress have, does this one Republican believe that Congress has the authority over the WNBA? I mean, am I missing something here?
Right.
But it's really fascinating that she's really not saying anything.
No, I mean, it appears that her approach is, I'm gonna beat them in the game.
The media's arguing about the entire thing, but she's not saying. It's really interesting. She's not saying anything.
Yeah, stay focused, I guess.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm looking here, the latest on Caitlin Clark. She doesn't say much. By the way, I was reading here Noah Rothman's column in National Review called, let me see, why the WNBA's advocates resent the league's good fortune. They wanted retribution, not success. And, this all came about because of the push, the shove that Caitlin Clark got from another player.
Right.
It was about 10 days ago, whatever, and she said nothing about it, but was hilarious about it. Let me find this here. because it was just awesome. Here it is. While some of the left who filter popular culture through political prisms saw Clark's success as an outgrowth of the fact that she resisted MAGA's siren song. I'm like, what the hell what are they talking about?
What?
I went back. There was an article written in The Nation, which is the longest-running public liberal publication in the United States. And they're trying to make the case that since she won't get involved in any of the controversy of the shove or push, just did, well, it's a tough game and people push. And after I got pushed, I knew I had a foul shot. I wanted to make the foul shot and win it. That's being anti-MAGA. The Nation.
Okay.
That's like, wow. And the story here with Caitlin Clark is nothing to do with basketball. I saw the great Nancy Lieberman. I remember when she played. I was paying attention to basketball way back then in the 70s and was even watching women's basketball. And at that point, and so I watched a lot of Lieberman's career, and everybody else had played with her, irrespective of skin color at that time.
Yeah.
Because I was always into every type of sports. And so to me, it was like, okay, as a former basketball player and eighth grade coach, my one thing when she got shoved is, okay, all right, I think she has that opinion. She got shoved, she looked, she probably yelled, but she was thinking, all right, the game is close. I'm not going to get a technical foul on me because a lot of times you retaliate, and I'm just going to make the foul shot and try to win the game. And that seemed to be her mindset. I did wonder why other players didn't come to her defense. And it was exactly what Nancy Lieberman said yesterday. I was wondering why the other players didn't come to her defense. And I guess, you talk about a rookie on a team and everything else, and, maybe there are personality conflicts. And I let it go at that, because I don't put too much into sports. Then I forget this is a story of the left going crazy. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
The whole thing that, Jamel Hill, here it is, reading here from this column where he starts out saying, to hear prominent Democrats and their allies tell it, and they've been telling it for well over a decade, America's failure to provide the WNBA and its players with the same financial and cultural benefits as their male counterparts represented a kind of collective moral failing. I'm for equal pay for equal work, Barack Obama said while celebrating the 2015 Minnesota Lynx WNBA championship. Although the president's remark advanced his administration's effort at the time to continue promoting the propaganda of the existence of a gender pay gap, a concept his own Bureau of Labor Statistics disputed, Obama made promoting the WNBA and women's sports broadly a priority. Joe Biden at least appeared to understand the basic economic obstacles before those who sought to flatten the pay scales across men's and women's basketball. Quote, as a nation, we need to support women's sports by showing up in person and watching on TV with more sponsorships and more programming. The president hectored the nation. Biden was actually right there. The disparity between the two leagues isn't in the quality of labor, but the deliverables both produce in terms of viewership and profits. And they talk about the fact that, the stats have been done. You and I did the stats when this all became an issue. But he said, still, it's never been hard to find the acolytes of both presidents who attribute America's coolness, that's Obama and Biden, towards women's basketball to its rampant racism, sexism, and homophobia. Recently, however, industry experts and the WNBA fans alike have hoped that the Caitlin Clark phenomenon would upend projections about the league's future and its players' financial prospects. More than 2.4 million people tuned in to the WNBA draft, beating the previous record by more than 300%. The New York Times reported of the event in which Clark was a number one draft choice. As much as a WNBA success would be a causal phenomena, the Times confessed industry executives say It's especially hard to ignore this stat. Indeed, a transformational moment may be upon the league, one that would benefit the industry as a whole in ways its advocates have long sought. The WNBA's prospects seem bright. Astonishingly enough, some of the WNBA's champions are utterly miserable over the league's good fortune. One of the downsides associated with the product's commercial success is it punctures a sense of the exclusivity among its early adopters. Writing in The Atlantic, Jamel Hill, formerly of ESPN, the well-known racist, confessed she had long dreamed of the day when female athletes would demand, by which she means receive, the level of media attention traditionally reserved for men. But now that this day has arrived, it's a lot less satisfying than I imagined. Too many amateurs have encroached on her turf, Hill complained. Worse, she believes these novices were drawn to the sport in part because its new star player's race and her sexuality played a role in her popularity. While some on the left who filter popular culture through political prisms saw Clark's success as an outgrowth of the fact that she resisted MAGA's siren song. And that goes back to the article in The Nation.
Yeah.
Because they referenced it, and I went back and found it. It's like they're somehow comparing the fact that she just said, no, it's a tough game, and, yeah, I'm going to get tested. I'm new here. That proves she's not MAGA.
Right.
The left will take everything and politicize it in some ways.
Well, because for them this was political. They wanted it to become more political.
Yep.
I think her lack of reaction is disappointing to them. I think the fact that she hasn't really responded with outrage is disappointing. I think they wanted the fight.
The View's Sonny Huston said, I think that people have a problem with basketball-playing women that are lesbians, she said. The Atlantic's Jim Trotter inveighed against the temptations to delude ourselves into believing her appeal as an influencer is based solely on basketball, because it's not. To fail to acknowledge the obvious is an affront to history and reality. With mock dispassion, the Tennesseans' Andrea Williams attributed Clark's star power to the enduring marketability of whiteness. In America, a predominantly white society with a very long record of white supremacist ideologies, whiteness becomes a primary standard by which all is measured, and in business, the primary market to which all products are targeted, Williams said. Wow. And then they just go through some of the players are saying the same thing. You know, she's white, and that's why she's getting it.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is ridiculous. Which, of course, really, when you look at men's sports, for example, with the Michael Jordan or just sports in general, it doesn't matter.
No, people want to see exceptional
yeah.
Athleticism, and that's what they tune in for.
Caitlin Clark was a generational player because she was a great player that could lift other players on her team. Mm-hmm. We'll see how she does in the WNBA. I know her team isn't doing well, but she's averaging, I think, last I saw, 17 points a game, which is great for a rookie. Mm-hmm. It's marvelous for a rookie.
Sure.
In a professional league. And she was, when you saw her play, you went, oh, my God, is she entertaining to watch? There can be great players that aren't entertaining to watch. Michael Jordan was entertaining to watch.
Well, let's face it, not every player in the NBA, we're not glued to a game watching at any time all 10 on the court. We're typically watching a few key players. You tune in for LeBron. You tune in for Michael Jordan. You tune in for these star players that stand out on a team. And she's been one that's been in, we talked about it, she was in the spotlight. Will it translate in her professional career? So far, she's doing very well.
Well, I mean, you look at, I played basketball, like I said, coached for a couple of years for an 8th grade team. And I remember, I'll give, for example, the Celtics, because everybody remembers the Celtics with Larry Bird. Larry Bird came in, And, of course, he was white, and that was the whole great thing. And some of the YouTube things when they talked to some of the black superstars at that time in the NBA talking about Larry Bird, and it's some of the funniest stuff you'll ever see in your life, because they will admit, the guy, he came in and we were prejudiced. He's a white guy.
Yeah.
There's no way he can be as good as we are. Right. And it's like, we were wrong. He goes, all my friends would tell me, you got to beat that white guy. That white guy, because we were wrong. We were wrong. So this guy can play basketball. But it doesn't take away from the fact that Larry Bird also had some great players around him. He had Kevin McHale.
Well, that's it.
He had Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish, who was black. Great, not a fancy ball player, but a great inside guy who knew how to box out and was extremely tough. Right. If you're a basketball player and you understand the game of basketball, you understand that there's important people outside of the superstar, but the superstar, the entertaining one, as Bird was, and Maravich. Now, Maravich never won a championship, but Maravich was he was the most entertaining person you could possibly watch.
That's a huge draw
in basketball.
It's a huge draw.
Right, the entertain. Well, it's almost at the point where, Maravich, you go back to Maravich, I've always said I think the decline of the Harlem Globetrotters was Maravich, not because he was white and they were black, but the fact that he was doing what the Harlem Globetrotters were doing, faking it, and he was doing it in a real game and then throwing those passes.
Yeah, right.
And so it was, and so it was something amazing to watch. She was someone that's amazing to watch. There are a lot of people, for example, we love a wide receiver, right? We love seeing what a wide receiver does when a wide receiver beats a defensive back and catches the ball, or when the quarterback, throws, such a perfect pass in between defenders.
Right.
And you see it in the slow motion, you go, my God, that was perfect. He's just an inch. If it was an inch the other way, it would have gone. Everybody talks about the fact that in order to win, you need a great offensive line and defensive line. But except for the guy that gets the sack on the offensive line, if you're somebody who just clogs up the middle, you don't get a lot of notoriety for that. You don't get nearly as much, yet your importance to the team is absolutely critical, as is every offensive lineman who's protecting the quarterback. Right. And you really notice the offensive line when they're not doing their job and your quarterback gets sacked 7-8 times in a game, then you're criticized. So there are certain positions and certain people that are just more entertaining in the way that they play the game, and it's that simple.
Right.
And again, but the left has to put race on everything, even though all the empirical evidence of racism in sports and who watches it is gone.
Yeah.
It's proven over the last 50 years. People don't care.
Right.
They don't care if their quarterback is black or white. Win the damn game and we love you. Lose it and you suck. We hate you.
Yeah, it turns on a dime.
It does. It doesn't matter.
And that's just the way it's always been for me. I mean, you're gonna look to watch people who could do things that very few people can do. And the ones that stand out are the ones that will always bring the eyes to the game.
You ever see Bill Burr's WNBA?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we talked about it, yeah.
That was I saw it's hilarious because he's like, women? What do you mean? I've got my sports. Women's basketball, it's there for you, women. You're not watching it.
Why aren't you watching?
You don't care about it.
Right.
Oh, my God, it's so funny. And he goes, name the WNBA team in your town.
Right.
Name one WNBA player who plays for the team.
Right.
Women. I'm talking to you, women. He goes, we've done my job. No, I've watched all other sports and made a success. Now you're telling me I got to make women's sports a success too?
Right.
Come on, women. You make it a success.
Right.
You watch the damn games.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's so funny.
The NBA deal with NBC, Amazon, and ESPN, $76 billion deal. That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I said, it was probably a month or two ago, that professional sports is going to have to basically round it up and get it down to, a handful, like it kind of was in the past. if you're going to corral the audience, they kind of need to have that. I think that habit. Now, there are some fans that are just going to find it wherever it is. But this deal, this $76 billion deal that's pending that the Wall Street Journal wrote about, that's a huge deal. I had wondered if they're going to get, I didn't think they would get it down to one or two or one streamer. I just didn't think that one streamer would pay for it. But now you've got three, and we'll see where it goes. It could be a big, 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 big deal.
Well, blame me because I watch a lot less sports now.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I'll take the blame.
All right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust as needed. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, avoid hugging the right side of the road, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds, especially crosswinds. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, when you look at sports, for example, look at golf. Golf, everybody isn't interested in all the players. It's probably, when you look at golf, for example, every single round of golf every tournament, you probably have 150 people teeing off. Probably there's 5 or 6 well-known superstars in there.
Yeah.
That most of the attention is played, and if they're not in the running, doesn't matter if somebody's winning.
Right.
You look at the name, you go, I don't know who it is. You don't watch.
Right.
You know, and that tournament, the numbers will go down. Tiger Woods showed that. If Tiger wasn't in the running, he was way out, numbers would go down. If he was in, it would go up.
Mm-hmm.
We look at individual personalities and people that can make it, that have that are excellent at their craft and also very entertaining to watch.
Right.
Remember, sports is entertainment.
Yep.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when and where you choose in case you can't listen live overnight. One more thing here on the whole Caitlin Clark thing, which really isn't a sports issue. To me, it's a issue of the left going crazy and bringing in racism where racism isn't really a part of it. They just choose to bring it in. You know, even in the very beginning when it was, they should make the same amount of money. And we're like, stop it. I mean, anybody in the real world knows. It doesn't matter. You can be excellent in a lot of things that don't pay.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the reality of it. Just because you are excellent at a particular craft does not mean that the marketplace is there to pay you. That's the reality. There isn't a sense of entitlement saying, if I'm excellent at this, then I must get this. The real world doesn't look at it that way. And so we all know that. For example, let me give you the most perfect example. Because I was back in Buffalo about a month ago, and And in Buffalo, they have a indoor lacrosse league, all right, that plays at the same arena that the hockey team plays in, called the Buffalo Bandits. They won the championship again this year. They always sell out almost every game. We're talking 20,000. You would think it's the most major sport if you went to one of those games from the reaction of the crowd.
Yeah.
The top players, as of 2019, got paid $30,000 a year. The average player gets paid $19,000 a year. You walk in there. Now, Buffalo is an anomaly for that. They're not drawing that in other. In fact, Fort Worth just got a indoor lacrosse league. These are excellent players. Doesn't matter. They get paid less than WNBA players. So are they being discriminated against?
Nope.
No, it's the marketplace. That's the way that it is. So that to me is the whole Caitlin Clark controversy, is how the left is reacting to this in the usual way. It's got to be racism, homophobia. It's got to be something that if women's sports, if women's basketball, if they're not being paid the exact same as men, and if the number of people in America are not watching it, it has to be homophobic, racist, misogyny, whatever, as these same people on the left that are promoting and whining about the WNBA are the same ones advocating for men playing women's sports.
Yeah. Well, you look, too, at the history of NASCAR. I mean, there was a time when NASCAR was just on fire. Could do nothing wrong.
Yep.
And then, all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it went away. Now, NASCAR fans will tell you, well, they changed the rules, they changed this, they changed that. It was just a different competition, and whatever. It's gone. Here one moment, gone the next.
Or not as popular.
And, that's the whole point, is that it's not going to be a guarantee. There is no guarantee that your sport or your team is going to have the same fan base from day to day. The NFL took a hit for a while. Look, we're always going to watch football as a nation. The NFL is going to kill it every single time. But even the NFL can take a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also now battling with what they're seeing right now. You look at this NBA deal, $76 billion. And you look at it, and it's Amazon, NBC, and ESPN. Well, what do you have there? Well, you have a network. You have a cable network, and then you have streaming. So you're trying to basically cover all your bases. And that's going to be, interesting to watch, because it is about the future of where the eyes are going to go, or what access people have. I think right now, most people have access to streaming. Now, they may not have a subscription that gets them that access, but they have the ability. They have the hardware to stream. Not everybody has cable anymore. So network is going to be a safe bet. Cable TV, because of other habits, cutting the cable. Again, yeah, they have access to cable TV, but they just don't pay for it. And streaming is going to be off and on, because am I going to get an Amazon subscription to watch the NBA? So these are the things where the league wants to find the eyes, but you got to find the money first. And if you look at like TNT losing tons of money, Wall Street Journal writing about it, where the NBA has been up until now, these networks are struggling. And so it remains to be seen whether the investment, if it's accurate, $76 billion collectively here, is going to be a good investment for any or all of these three entities, Amazon, ESPN, and NBC. We'll see.
I worked for a radio station that carried the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It was a loss leader. They didn't make any money on it.
Mm-hmm.
They did it because, people would, come by them. Now, this is when they had blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
The revenue for a radio station, remember in the NFL, every home game used to be blacked out, whether it was sold out or not.
Mm-hmm.
So radio did gangbusters on it.
Mm-hmm.
They made a profit on it then. There was a premium. Well, as it went on, remember, then there was like the 72-hour, if you sold out by Thursday, well, then the game would be shown in your home market.
Mm.
Well, now every game is shown whether it's sold out or not in the home market.
Right.
So the radio rights, okay, you can brag on it, but you're not going to get anywhere close to the audience that you would get when it was blacked out on TV.
Yeah.
And so things change. Look at movies. I'm reading here from Breitbart. Eric, listen to this here. You talk about crashing. The domestic box office is down 24% compared to last year and down 42% compared to 2019, the last pre-pandemic year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, part of it is go woke, go broke.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
Yeah, but that's part of it.
I think it's a major part of it.
Yeah.
That people just go, nah, I'm not going to go. I don't want to be lectured. I want to, I want to enjoy it. Now, Top Gun last year when it came out, that did great. Right?
Yep.
If you
had a pure action movie that had a little bit of a throwback element to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at movies where, what is it that's appealing? Something that doesn't have an agenda. Kelsey Grammer in an interview was talking about playing Frasier and the TV show Frasier and why they never really took on anything political on the show. And it's because you can't really do that. Let's just be funny. Let's just write it around the characters. But if you're gonna bank it, if you think of every movie as its own entity, well, Disney and Discovery and HBO, I think they've all learned. I don't know what they've learned, but certainly they went through lessons.
There were lessons
Remains
to be learned.
Seen. Well, the new ownership, at Discovery, clearly, the Discovery Group coming in and changing things and shelving movie projects, saying, sorry, we can't do this. Now, that's still not the norm, though, in Hollywood. Still, the norm is you've got to have a different reason to make that movie. Seinfeld talked about it when he was out there promoting the comedy movie about Pop-Tarts. They talked about the movie-making process, which I think now we've all learned is very different in Hollywood. And the question is, do you even understand who your audience is? Because it doesn't matter. There are certain things that you can put in and get away with. But there are so many elements on the whole going woke thing. And again, it may not be the main driver, but it's a turnoff to the point of people start changing their habits. They start changing their routine. I look at certain things and it's like, okay, this movie's going to be out. It's only in theaters on this date. And I'm thinking, yep. And about 6 weeks after that, it'll be on Amazon. It'll be somewhere streaming. And because the big push has been, let's get it back out there to the theaters. Let's get people back out to the theaters. And there is something to be said about that experience of being under one roof with other people and you're watching a movie and all of that. But post-COVID, all that has changed for a number of reasons. It's also changed because our attention span is different, whether it's sports or any form of entertainment. Are we going to spend 2 hours, 3 hours on that? Used to be binging. Remember binging?
Yeah.
On streaming? That's over. Well, because during COVID, we spent hours, many people in their home in front of a computer working, and they don't want to spend their leisurely hours in front of another screen not working. They would rather do something. For whatever reason, the attention span changed. But I think it's not just COVID, it's also the way technology changes. When any form of entertainment is out there, whatever it is, it's battling for everything that gets the attention of your potential audience. So it doesn't matter. Whatever activity it might be that takes them away. And now with streaming on phones and everything else, I was reading the other day, it's like people they're just streaming on phones. Why buy a TV? Get a monitor and link your monitor to your phone if you really have to. Many people just watching on their phones. Our attention span, we're jumping from one to the other on a regular basis.
And I know because and I'm very hesitant to use me as an example just because, I'm sort of, on the young side of middle age. Okay,
right.
Okay, I'm an old guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never a huge moviegoer. I'd go to 2 or 3 movies a year if it was great because especially if one was the sight and sound is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But now with my large screen LED TV, with the Sonos sound system, with the wireless speakers in the back that I can adjust exactly to the way that I want, I've got the Top Gun. What was the latest one? What do they call it? The latest
Maverick.
Top Gun. The what? Maverick, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll turn that on just for 5 minutes, to hear the sound effects.
Yeah.
To hear it just going from speaker to speaker, and concerts in, HD 5.1, just all of that have changed everything for me. But then when it comes to movies themselves, I know you've gone through this. We pay not to see commercials on YouTube. YouTube is a completely different ballgame without any commercials. And I'm sitting there going, do I want to watch a movie from Hollywood? Or, wow, look at this guy over here. This guy's building a pond in his backyard in the middle of Iowa, this huge pond. I want to see how he builds it. Oh, and he puts out a video every week for an hour. I end up watching a guy build a pond in the backyard and see how he's going to do all the engineering behind it, and it's exactly what I want to watch at that time.
Yep.
Have you seen that guy with the pond?
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing.
And I talked to a friend of mine who's a YouTuber, and he said that 30-minute video is kind of the sweet spot of where the attention span is. And he said his shorts, which are 30 seconds, do very well. But, that's it. Our attention span, it's like we're wanting to put more in that same short time span of whatever it is, an hour or two a day.
You're right. It's probably more like a half hour. I don't think a lot of them are an hour.
Yeah, that's kind of the sweet spot,
and it's like,
to him.
I have that kind of time. 3 hours or 2 hours or an hour and a half is a large commitment.
Yeah, I don't like to sit down that long.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Yeah, just looking at some of the numbers for movies, it's unbelievable. Domestic box office revenue year-to-date is $2.68 billion, down a whopping 24% from the same quarter last year and 42% behind 2019. With inflation, too, people want to know that the movie that they're going to go see, that they're going to get their money's worth.
Yep.
And you do not have that now with Hollywood. You don't have that.
No, you don't.
And money's more important than ever. People's recreational dollars, they're going to be choosy with.
Yep.
This is Red Eye Radio.